Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am JP Dimri, retired professor of Russian from the Center of Russian Studies, English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. Indian grammatical tradition, pioneer linguistics. Today, we shall talk about the structure of Ashtadhyayi and arrangement. The module name is the Ashtadhyayi Structure and Arrangement 2. The objective is to introduce the participants, students, to the structure of Ashtadhyayi. The purpose of Ashtadhyayi, Pani does not give the purpose of study of Ashtadhyayi. It is Patanjali who in his Paspasanika of his Mahavasya lists 5 main purposes of Shabdanusasana, discipline of words or science of grammar. Shabdanusasana is the term used by Patanjali, and they are Rakshuha Gamalakbhasandeha. Now we shall talk about these things. So it says the purposes of study of grammar is Raksha, Uha, Agama, Laghu and Asandeha. Now Raksha means preservation. This means that the correct form of the language used in the Vedas can be preserved only and only by a person who has studied grammar and who can explain the peculiarities of the words used in the ritual language as opposed to the words used in the spoken language. For instance, in Deva Aduhra, God milked. The form Aduhra differs from the form Aduhata of the spoken language. In Aduhra, Ta has been deleted by Ashtadhyayi's rule number 7141 and R has been augmented by rule number 718. This a person who knows the grammar well only can explain. In the tradition, there is a belief that the desired result of an act of worship will be accrued only if a mantra is pronounced correctly. In this context, Mahavasya has a verse which states, Dushtaha sabdaha swarato varnato va mithya prayukto natadarthamaha sa vagvajru yajmanam minasti yathendra satru swarato paradha. A mantra which is not pronounced correctly in terms of accent and sound becomes ineffective when used and does not convey the desired meaning. Such a works like a thunderbolt, kills the sacrificer as the word Indrashatru pronounced with the wrong accent. The story is that the Vritra performed a sacrifice to kill his enemy Indra. But during the sacrifice, the priest wrongly pronounced the compound Indrashatru with accent on the first vowel rather than on the last vowel. The phrase Indrashatru Vardhaswa then meant, may Indra, who is the killer, flourish. And as a result, Indra became the killer of Vritra. The second principle is Uha, very important principle from the linguistic point of view. Uha means the capacity to generate forms from one pattern to other. For example, in a sacrifice, the name of a god has to be substituted by the name of the another god in the same inflected form in a mantra, and this can be done only by a person who knows grammar well. For example, in Agnaye Tva Justam Nirvapami, I offer you which is liked to Agni. Here Agnaye is the 4th case singular form of the word Agni. Now in the place of Agnaye, the 4th case singular form of the word Surya has to be substituted. The 4th case singular form of the word Surya is Suryaya. So Agnaye has to be substituted by Suryaya. One who does not know grammar cannot make such substitutions correctly. Hence, one should study grammar. The third principle is Agama. It means that the grammar must be studied. It is one of the 6 Vedangas. The 4th one is Laghu, and again another very important principle of Paninian grammar. Economy or brevity. Economy of description so as to make it possible in shorter span of time and space to make a complete analysis of the language and facilitate memorization. This has been quoted from Vidyanivas Mishra. This is the principle of economy, one of the most important principles of Paninian grammar. The last one is asandeha. It means non-ambiguity, that is to say, clarity of description. This purpose is a check on the fourth purpose, laghu. For instance, the compound sthula prasati can have two meanings. First, sthulani prasanti yasyasa, a cow with big spots, a bahuvrihi compound. Second, sthula cha asau prasati cha, a cow which is fat and has spots. Karmadhara, a compound. The intended meaning here is the first one, a bahuvrihi compound. In bahuvrihi compound, the first member is accented. This is possible only if one has studied grammar. So one should study grammar to remove the ambiguity in an expression. Now we shall discuss the arrangement of Ashtadhyayi into Adhyayas. As was discussed that the Ashtadhyayi has 8 Adhyayas, which are also called books. Each Adhyaya in turn has 4 padas, quarter chapters, and each pada has a number of sutras, rules. Let us now list the broad topics discussed in these Adhyayas. The first Adhyaya contains first definitions of the technical terms used in Ashtadhyayi. Second, rules of interpretations or rules of applications or meta rules. This Adhyaya has also some operational rules. The technical rules and meta rules discussed in this chapter are applicable throughout the grammar. In short, the first Adhyaya contains the rules of definitions and meta rules. The second Adhyaya contains rules regarding compound formation and assignment of cases, number and gender of compounds. The compounds are Abhyayi Bhava, adverbial compound, Dvandva, cupulative or aggregative compound, Tatpurusha, determinative compound, and Bahuvrihi, adjective compound. The chapter also deals with the deletion of suffixes. The third, fourth, and fifth Adhyayas deal with all suffixes which are there in the language. The term for suffix is pratyaya. The term pratyaya is also translated as affix. The first sutra of the third Adhyaya is pratyaya 311, affix or suffix. This is an Adhikara Sutra, governing rule, covering the whole of third, fourth, and fifth Adhyayas of the Ashtadhyayi. The word pratyaya will recur in every subsequent rule up to the end of the fifth Adhyaya. The next sutra is Parasya 312, and the suffix is introduced after, that is to say, what follows, a verbal root or a nominal stem. The third Adhyaya contains primary suffixes, first added to both the verbal and non-verbal stems, form a secondary verbal stem. Second, the suffixes added to the 10 classes of the verbal roots. Third, the suffixes added to verbal roots to form a non-verbal stem. In short, this Adhyaya basically contains suffixes which are added to a verbal root. The chapter also contains conjugational suffixes. The fourth and fifth Adhyaya chapters contain suffixes which are added to non-verbal stems. The suffixes are tadhits, secondary derivatives or secondary suffixes. The fourth Adhyaya also contains feminine forming suffixes indicating the notion of apatya, family name. The fifth Adhyaya continues tadhita suffixes started in the fourth Adhyaya. The fifth Adhyaya also deals with the compound final suffixes. The third chapter also defines the concept of sarvadhatuka and ardhadhatuka. The sixth, seventh, and the eighth Adhyayas deal with the morphophonemic changes which take place when a suffix is added to a verbal root or a nominal stem. The sixth Adhyaya contains sutras regarding reduplication and its types, reduction, augmentation, inflection, vowel sandhi, vowel action shift, stem alternation in suffixation, stem alternation in compound formation, etc. The seventh Adhyaya deals with suffix alternation, stem alternation in suffixation, augmentation, guna and vriddhi, replacement, reduplication, etc. The eighth Adhyaya deals with topics such as repetition of a word, loss of word accent in a sentence, prolation and accent of the final vowel of the sentence, replacement of visarga by sa, replacement of sa dha by retroflex, replacement of no by no, doubling of consonants other than ha, etc. The eighth Adhyaya is technically interesting. The last three padas of the eighth Adhyaya are called Tripadi. The Tripadi constitute a separate unit. The whole of Ashtadhyayi is divided into two parts. The last three padas of the eighth Adhyaya are called Tripadi, and the remaining seven Adhyayas and the first pada of the eighth Adhyaya are called Sapad Saptadhyayi. The pada 2 of the eighth Adhyaya begins with the sutra Purvatra Siddham 821. In this section, beginning here and extending up to the end of this chapter, a rule introduced here is considered inoperative with respect to an earlier rule, Purvatra Siddham, and a rule of this section is also considered inoperative with respect to the rules introduced in the section preceding, that is to say 111 to 8174. This is a translation from Katre. This is an Adhikara Sutra governing rule, and it covers all the rules up to the end of the 8th Adhyaya. The last sutra of the Tripadi section is also the last sutra of Ashtadhyayi, is A Iti 8468. The short vowel A, which is defined as an open vowel, is a closed vowel in actual pronunciation. This is a classical example of rule ordering in a grammar. In conclusion, we can say that in this module we have discussed the main purposes of study of grammar, which are given by Patanjali in his Mahabhashya in the Paspasandika. They are Raksha, Uha, Agama, Laghu and Sandeha. In addition to these four purposes, Patanjali also lists another 10 or 11 purposes of study of grammar. In this module, we have also discussed in brief the subjects, topics discussed by these 8 adhyayas. Thank you.